Hello, everyone. Last week, we started talking about a naturalized U.S. citizen sponsoring their elderly parent for a green card. And today, we are going to continue that discussion and talk about the financial support affidavit. What is it and who qualifies as a sponsor? And we will also talk about getting someone to help a sponsor if you cannot be the sponsor. Hi, I'm Raluca Hania, and I provide immigration and other legal services. I'm here with my office manager, Nina Clear, to continue our discussion about sponsoring a parent once you have become a citizen. Thank you for your likes and comments as it helps others to see our videos.
Okay. Sorry if we're talking fast. We have an appointment and we've been so busy today.
Yes, we were.
There's lots of people who ask us about the support affidavit. So can you just tell me what it is?
Sure. So this is called affidavit of support, and you have to file it on the form I-864, and it shows that you can support the immigrant that you're sponsoring, so they do not need to go on welfare.
Which is a huge thing right now in the news, right? Lots of people think immigrants go on welfare, which really isn't true.
Yes.
Because either they pay for themselves or they have somebody that has to. So when you say you can support, what do you mean by that?
You need to list all the people in your household and show that your income is equal to or higher than 125% above the poverty level.
And how do you find what that poverty level is?
There is a link on the USCIS website, and we'll post it here. But keep in mind the USCIS publishes new poverty line guidelines yearly, so it's good. Right now we have the ones for 2018, but you will need to check the 2019 if you are watching this later.
Okay. And what about if you don't meet the guidelines? Because we've had a lot of clients who call us and they say, oh, I have a joint sponsor. What does that mean?
That means their income is not sufficient to sponsor their relatives, so they need to, they are able to get a joint sponsor.
Okay, and the joint sponsor then, so it's a little confusing to me because when it says joint sponsor, I think they're doing it together. So do they combine their income?
The joint sponsor can be someone in the household, which can be one of the relative of the sponsor, or it can be someone else that is not a relative of the sponsor. So each sponsor must meet the guidelines based on their own income. So they might be a joint sponsor if they also have to look again, like each sponsor have to look at their household, the number of people that live in their household, and look at their income to see if they qualify.
So they don't really add the incomes together, is what I'm hearing from you. Like if it was you that didn't meet the income guidelines and you went out and bought, not bought them because you don't pay them, but you asked a person, say from your church, could you be a sponsor? Their income would be the only thing looked at.
Yes, but everybody has you as a relative who's sponsoring your immediate relative to come here. You have to sign an affidavit anyway, because later on, if somehow your relative goes on welfare, you are responsible for that person too.
So each person, so you as the sponsor have to sign the affidavit, and then the joint sponsor has to sign it.
Exactly.
But they're only looking at the joint sponsor's income.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So how long does that sponsorship last?
So the sponsorship, the sponsor is responsible for, usually it's until the person that comes in U.S. becomes a U.S. citizen, or until they are credited with 40 quarters of work, which usually takes 10 years.
Okay. So one thing to keep in mind is if you're sponsoring someone that's already been here, sometimes they can get credited if they've already worked 40 quarters, but there's so many little particulars.
Yes, there are. Yes, so, and we need to keep this general right now, but yes.
And then are there any requirements of the sponsor besides the fact that they meet the income guidelines?
Yes, the sponsor has to be 18 or older. They must live in US, and they have to be a US citizen or permanent resident in US.
And it could be if they live outside the US, but they have to be domiciled here.
Yes.
And we should say the US or its territories.
That's correct.
So how do you do it?
So practically every sponsor should complete the Form I-864 when their relative has been scheduled for an immigrant visa interview with the consular officer overseas, or when your relative is about to submit an application for adjustment to permanent resident status with the USCIS or with the immigration court in United States. And if you have a joint sponsor, they also have to complete that form, the I-864. And if you're using the income of another household member to qualify, each household member has to accept legal responsibility for sponsoring your relative, and they must complete a separate form. You must also file your tax forms and the most recent information from your employer. Thank you for watching. I see people watching right now. There are quite a few particulars about sponsoring the relative, and I really want people to know that they really should use an attorney for processing it, and this is a legally binding contract when they sign this. So if you have any questions, please post them below this video and we'll answer them. Call us at any time, and we'll continue to talk about sponsoring your relative in our next videos. Thank you so much for watching today, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.